The very first Manitoba Podcast Festival goes down International Podcast Day, Sunday, September 30th, 12 to 4 p.m. at the Park Theatre. Manitoba's podcast community gathers for an afternoon of networking, education, and so much more, featuring local podcast hosts, producers, radio personalities, taking part in panel discussions and Q&As. Take part in this fantastic networking opportunity. You can like us on Facebook at Manitoba Podcast Festival. Tickets are just $5. The very first Manitoba Podcast Festival, Sunday, September 30th at the Park Theatre.
Thank you to everyone who supports my dad's show. If you'd like to support Witchpolice Radio, go to patreon.com/witchpolice today.
You're listening to Garbage Hill, Winnipeg's first podcast network.
All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm your regular host, Sam, and I'm outside in the West End doing another episode of the podcast. And I think because there's 4 people seated around the table here, the best thing to do is for everyone to introduce themselves, what they do in the band, and then we can just kind of go from there. So people can put a voice to the name. So,
all right.
With you.
I'm Cody. I play the drums. Yeah, I've been plugging away with, 2 of these guys for the last 6 years. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm Evan. I sing and I play guitar.
I'm Kendra, I play bass.
I'm Rebecca, I play rhythm guitar and keyboard.
Cool. And I guess that we should probably mention the name of the band as well, right? That seems important.
Yeah, Northern Royals.
Right
That's
on.
us.
Right on. And I guess just like to start it off, you mentioned the length of time that you've been playing with some of the members of the band here. I was kind of under the mistaken impression that you guys were a fairly new band because I hadn't seen the name until relatively recently, but then I kind of looked it up and there's more. I mean, there's a lot of history, right? I mean, this is kind of like a new incarnation of the same project, is that right?
Definitely. It started with a name change.
Okay.
From we were the Autopilots, and then legal issues in a nutshell. We had to change the name.
Oh, really? Someone else with the same
Yeah,
name?
there was a band. I won't get too in depth about it, but pretty much was like their name was trademarked, so they had the legal right to it. So yeah, it was it is what it is, and I like our new name better anyway. So
yeah. No, how does that happen though? Do you get like a cease and desist letter or something, or?
It got to the point they emailed us, and at first we kind of just ignored it.
Yeah,
as we did, and then they threatened legal action, and I think it was Evan talked to a lawyer friend of his, and she's like, well. Pleading ignorance doesn't usually work out in your favor.
Right,
so,
yeah.
So we changed it, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they actually got a trademark, which is what... They've been messaging us for 2 years.
Yeah.
And the trademark's what did it, so...
That's, it's unusual, I guess. Are they much higher profile than you two, or is it just...
They were, I think they were like in, if you go by Facebook likes, they were like 1,200.
Okay.
And I think we were like 200, 300 at the time.
Yeah.
So.
But it's not like some huge band in,
No, not that I...
They just took the legal step of,
Exactly, yeah. But I think they've been around for like 12 years or something like that too, so, they had a lot more invested into that than we did.
For sure.
The issues came when, like, the zoo booked them, and they put our link on it.
Oh, That's right, I can see that being a problem,
And then people messaged us about festivals, and then messaged them.
Right.
So it was legit when they asked us to change it, like, it made sense. Yeah. Plus, there was like 10 bands with Autopilot in it.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. So there was a rap group in Toronto and like another band from like Montana or something. So yeah, and Northern Royals, like we did our research. There's not another. Yeah. I think there's Northern Royal wedding bands, and that's the only other Northern Royal I could find online. So.
And they're not. It's not music bands.
Bird. Northern Royal Albatross. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
The Northern Royal wedding bands is Rings.
Yeah.
Oh, wedding bands, like rings.
Musical bands,
which is really funny too.
That's kind of yeah. So how long has it been Northern Royals then, since the name change happened?
15.
Almost 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Holy crap.
We printed 1,000 CDs.
Yeah.
And then had to change the name.
Oh, that sucks. So what did you do with the Autopilot CDs? Did you have like hiding in a box somewhere?
We'll give you one.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
For collector's purposes.
Totally. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, we got a bunch of boxes still sitting in the basement. We still. Usually what happens is we'll sell a few at a show, and then the end of the night, we'll just go and hand them out to people.
Okay.
And with a business card taped to the front or a sticker or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
one of the things that No, I don't want to dwell too much on the whole copyright issue because it's like, we've been talking about the whole time. But one of the things that I hate asking bands, and they always hate me asking, but I'm going to do it anyway, is what do you call the kind of music you play? Obviously, rock music is the most generic, vague term possible. You are a rock band, but there's so many subgenres of subgenres of subgenres that the question sucks, because unless you're basically like a straight-ahead country singer who only does country and western music, and even there's subgenres and subgenres, so it's so hard now, right? So
it's like, well, now even alt-rock is...
Wait, and what does that mean? That's such a huge...
It's worse than rock now.
Right.
Well, like, take, for example, what Power 97 plays now. A lot of that I would consider pop.
Right.
But now it's, no, this is alt rock.
This is what alt rock is,
Like, if I had to put a name to it, post-grunge, after listening to a podcast, History New Music with Alan Cross.
Okay.
He was going through the different phases of the 90s, and post-grunge was, he started naming off post-grunge bands, and I'm like, and that's what I grew up listening to, and that's what I think we are, so...
We're sort of venturing into hard rock now, too.
Which is another super wide umbrella term that means it's like, nothing, literally.
Rock, alt-rock, hard rock, post-grunge. Just to make it easy. Well, I mean, people have to categorize. You almost don't have to categorize music nowadays anyway, but it helps, right? It helps to just kind of fit it into a slot so you can classify it, I guess. But did the rest of you, that post-grunge thing, fit? Yeah?
Yes. After listening to that podcast, it just describes us.
So what kind of bands would you consider post-grunge, or did that podcast consider post-grunge?
It's Collective Soul's one of them.
Yeah. The biggest one was Foo Fighters.
Okay.
We cover like
Silverchair.
7 Foo Fighters songs. Yeah, it's Silverchair.
Silverchair was a big one.
I can't remember now. There was a lot more, but
so these are bands that came in kind of the tail end of the grunge thing and continued on into the
exactly.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
Check out that Alan Cross podcast.
Yeah, I've heard a couple
really
over the years.
And he was saying, he's like, when you listen to grunge bands, grunge bands, how often do they say we or I in a song? It's always about someone else, but then post-grunge is I and me, and
it's more personal.
Yeah, it's more personal, I guess, and that's the only real difference, I think, is lyrically, honestly. But so
yeah, he said it's grunge music. It's not grunge music, but it wouldn't be there without the presence of grunge.
Right, you need the grunge to develop.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Post anything is almost hard to it almost doesn't make sense. Because you have the thing that you're post.
By.
Yeah.
And we have the genre conversation weekly.
Well, it sucks, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
So something we should probably talk about. Rebecca is brand new to our band.
Okay. Like, how new are we talking?
Like a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not even.
And we also are missing one more member.
Okay.
So we're a 5-piece now after being a 4-piece for all these years. Sue Cam wasn't able to stay, unfortunately, tonight after rehearsal, but Cam Taylor is the other. He's their new lead guitarist.
Cool. So why expand it after all that time as a 4-piece?
We always considered it, getting a rhythm / keyboard kind of a multi-instrumentalist, and then when our lead guitarist left, we had Rebecca come, and it just kind of fit. She played very well, and it just fit. I don't know. And since we've been considering it for so long, it was like, let's just give it a shot. Go for it.
I definitely weaseled my way in.
Okay, so you already knew them beforehand?
No. My friend is a friend of theirs, and he was going to audition for the band, and I said, well, if you take him, you have to take me. And then they didn't take him. Sorry.
He never actually auditioned.
Yeah, he never did come.
Sorry,
never did work out.
He just said things in his life changed with work and stuff.
Oh,
it wasn't going to work out.
Yeah.
And I think we had about 9 auditions, and it was the weirdest, hardest process, because it's like starting a new family member almost.
Well, after you've been the unit you were for so long, right?
Yeah.
Like choosing a sibling.
Yeah.
And we had one guy come and just nailed our original songs and knew them in and out, but when it came to maybe I shouldn't say this, but when it came to his original material, it just didn't strike a chord with us as much as some of the other people.
Oh, like his own stuff?
With plans to write going forward.
When we think about it, it was like, well, you honestly had the best audition, but plans going forward in writing, I think we would have stayed stagnant, so that's why we made a little bit of a different choice. I kind of went off track there.
No, it's good, and it's really hard that way too, because you have 1 audition, 2 auditions.
Yeah.
You're not putting 100% of what you are because you're nervous or
right. You want to do what you think the band wants you to hear. To hear, right? Yeah. So.
You know, and so it's hard to I can't imagine auditioning myself.
Yeah, it would be strange.
It would be crazy.
Where did you find these people? Like, where did you get how did you find them? You said you're friend of a friend, but
yeah.
Where did the friend find out?
They know somebody in Arborg.
Yes,
so.
a mutual friend of my wife. Kendra is my wife. Which everybody who knows the band knows that.
Right.
We grew up in Arborg, and a friend of Rebecca's moved out to Arborg.
Okay, so
had a baby when
they're
together
married,
with a friend of ours. They're getting married, and it was just she passed on word to Emery, and that got to Rebecca that way, I guess.
Yeah.
And,
the Arborg connection.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's crazy.
Transcona Arborg connections.
It definitely didn't hurt that Kendra and I have the same birthday, though.
Okay.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
You knew that.
Did you tell me?
How did we not know this yet?
I told you. Okay.
Wow, we're making history here.
Yeah.
This is just a classic memory or reminder of how bad my memory is.
You're the one who told me. You're like, is your birthday March 21st? And I went, yes. How do you know that?
That's exciting.
So it's like serendipity, right? To get the band. Yeah. Cool.
One big birthday show.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for March.
We'll cover beaches just for you guys.
To win the battles that we choose. Now we're swimming in an ocean just made of sand. Everyone's got to live, but I think I'm being used. Oh, I'm starting to realize you never cared at all. So
Well, the reason I asked about the audition thing, like how you found the people to audition, is because I've talked to a few bands recently on here, and it seems like a lot of people are using Kijiji to find band members, which to me seems I had never heard of anyone doing
tried.
that.
It
just
doesn't work.
No, I don't. I wouldn't trust anyone who's going to Kijiji to join a band.
Kijiji was not a hit for us.
No,
I think it was Facebook. Was the big one. Like we had one guy from Kijiji come.
Yeah.
Auditioning people off of Kijiji when you have no mutual connection.
Yeah, it seems weird, right?
It's like inviting a robber into your house to see what's in the basement. Like, welcome,
and
please rob us.
I assume everyone on Kijiji is going to murder or steal.
Like, I try to use Kijiji, but it's pretty unsuccessful.
Yeah.
We tried with my last band. After Jen moved, she was actually the drummer in my last band.
Okay.
She moved out of the city to marry this guy and have a kid. And we're like, we got to find somebody else. And we had... out of like about 10 people who messaged us, we had one show up and he was in his 60s. So we had a fun practice that day. But,
interesting, yeah.
Shout out to Jen. Hi, Jen and Chris. Callum.
What was your old band? Nothing notable?
It was Parkview.
Park City.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
They had a good tune, actually. I really liked one of those tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jen actually showed us some YouTube videos, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed." I'm like, "It's good. What are you talking about?"
Awesome.
Like, don't know. It was good. Yeah, it was good stuff.
Way to throw her under the bus. Podcast now.
She's not even.
Well, that's what you do when someone's not here, right?
No one's listening, right?
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things. Whenever I show somebody a song too, I'm like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed."
Yeah. So after all the time, I mean, obviously the band's different now. You got new members. You've expanded to a 5-piece. I guess what has been the plan with the band? Because it's a long time to be together, as long as you have, despite the name change and everything. Like, how is it? I guess what has been the trajectory of the band so far? Obviously, you started off probably nowhere, like most bands, right? But then
cover shows at Finn's Pub. And Parks,
So have things progressed like the way you kind of hoped they would when you started out?
Yeah, there was always small goals. Like we wanted to play on River City Rocks, which it wasn't a thing anymore after we became a band.
Yeah, well, we got to the top 20 one year, and that was the last year.
That was the last year they did it. The first year we were a band.
I don't know, like as far as achieving goals, like for the most part, right now we're planned like a year in advance. But the big thing locally is like, I really dig this band. I want to play with that band, and I want to play with that band, and for the most part, we've been able to achieve that. Evan's done a killer job networking over the past year, and kind of kicked us in the ass to start doing it a little more. And like, I'm gonna name drop my favorite Exomerta. Like that was one.
Exo.
And
I'm pretty sure I have them on the podcast soon. I have a calendar at home, and it's like the name's on there somewhere.
They're killer, man.
I've heard them. They're good.
Yeah, they're so good. And that was just a killer show. Like we, from first band to third band, and we were at Cavern. It was full the whole time, and it was like, this is what we want to do. Play with this band. It was a big show. It was. Everyone had a good time. Like
that night we opened for The Damn Truth.
Yeah, and they're going on tour with ZZ Top.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
When you talk about goals, like our goal was like to play with our two favorite hard rock bands or rock bands in Winnipeg,
which are
Exomerta and the Soul Hounds.
Okay, yeah.
And then it happened like immediately.
Yeah.
So then you're done. You've achieved everything.
It's been a month, and we're like, shit, what's next? Yeah. And so now we're planning on touring and doing new albums and stuff like that, and we got new members.
To open a big show.
We got asked to open for, I don't know, probably should.
Oh,
whatever.
I don't know.
Well, by the time this comes out, it probably already happened, right?
Yeah, it happened last night. It was last minute though, and we're not ready yet. So.
Yeah.
But we opened for a band called Palais Royale out of Las Vegas. Way bigger than we were expecting them to be.
Yeah,
we had no idea who they were.
Yeah,
and they were amazing.
But it was insane. Like the fans were waiting for autographs from them after the show, and there was these girls crying. I was like, "What's going on?"
We were standing at our lonely merch table with no lineup, just watching them.
Huge lineup for Palais Royale. And we're like, oh my god.
Yeah, but I mean, we've had opportunities like that. Like just the other day, we were sitting in the garage after practice, having a beer, listening to Power, and all of a sudden I go, shit, listen to the song, and it was the Motor League, which is a band that we played with a couple years ago in Winnipeg, and now they're getting airplay on 97. And, Band of Rascals from Victoria, they played Rock in the Fields. Now they're playing Country Fest this year. We had the pleasure of opening for them when they came through town a few years ago. So it's been really good, honestly. Like we've had our shows where we played to 5 people. I remember
everyone
show
knows
at
that
the
though.
Zoo, it was probably 4 people there, but. Yeah, you just don't let those get you down.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'm going off track here, but
no, it's fun. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been good.
Do you feel like I know you mentioned Ex Omerta and Soul Hounds and stuff like?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you are sort of part of a scene within the local scene, like other bands? I'm assuming those ones, for example, that you kind of feel a kinship with. That you feel like whether your sounds are a little bit different, you still sort of fit as a.
Definitely getting there. You got to weasel your way in.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of bands that we're tight with, if they can't play a show, or if we can't play a show, we'll offer it off to somebody else.
Yeah.
And like suggest bands that play these shows that would be good with, like, complement each other.
For example, the Soul Hound show was the due date of Evan's baby. So we had Disraeli Dreamers on backup to fill in if all of a sudden...
knew.
Evans, nobody knew. I'm like,
and
did
the
you tell
baby
Soul
did
Hounds?
not
He's
come.
like, I'm not telling Soul Hounds.
Okay, and now they know.
But now they know.
Yeah.
Revealing all our secrets.
Well, they've been on the show a couple times, so hopefully one of them at least listens and yeah. No, that's cool though. That's cool.
It was just like if something happened and then it'd be like, hey, there's a band ready.
Yeah.
If you want it, Just because it'd be the worst to have a show and be like, oh, you got to play 2 sets now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah. But the show just gets cut really short.
Yeah. So,
pushed back really late.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Luckily, baby was a week late, so.
Yeah, it all worked out.
if we're considering you a straight ahead rock band, I mean, obviously there's the post-grunge thing and all the other sub-genres you want to call it, but just as a rock band that plays rock music without anything weird going on, what is this scene like? Because I mean, I definitely have a lot of experience with the punk scene, with the hardcore scene, with hip-hop scene, you know, things like that, and I imagine that the competition for being a rock band is different because there's so many higher profile bands, locally and otherwise, that are kind of competing for the audience. I mean, like you're saying, you listen to Power 97, all those bands. I mean, if you're a punk band, you have sure, you have punk bands from out of town that you're competing with for audience, for listeners, but the level of profile is a lot different, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, do you feel like there's a strong local scene of people who, you know, are going to see local rock bands, or is it just people who are into the big rock bands hear about you guys and happen to come out? Like, do you know what I mean? Is it as tight knit as maybe some of the other scenes are?
It's definitely grown in the past few years.
Okay.
I'll say that, like, in Canada in general, prairies, like folk country,
right? Exactly. Root stuff is huge.
Really, really popular, right?
And they have very, very tight knit scenes too. Like, especially here with the times change bands and stuff. It's
and rock's got it's like it's got its tight group, but I don't know. It just seems like overall there's less interest.
Yeah. Because it's not as niche, right? It doesn't have as much of a
And I think what bothers us too is, like, you know, this band says they're a rock band. Like Maroon 5 considers themselves a rock band, and like Adam Levine a rock star. Well, you know what I mean? Like,
but they seem like a pop band to me. Like,
especially
with
now,
kind of like
when
funky
they first
music.
came out back in the day, but now no. Like, they're definitely, in my opinion,
they're definitely pop now.
Yeah,
and local bands too. Like, nothing against them. It's just the genre, like you said, is so broad.
Yeah.
It's like, we got a rock band playing. It's like, well, it's not rock. Like, I came for a rock band.
Yeah.
So now you got to say, we got a hard rock band playing. Then all of a sudden, the whole song's like borderline hardcore.
Right. And then you don't want metal kids coming to that because they're going to expect something different, and then it's not. Yeah.
They're like, this is not metal. This is shit, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard and to title yourself, and it is very niche.
Yeah. Well, and just like, again, like, you know, growing up, going to punk shows and stuff in the 90s and everything, like, the idea of listening to Power 97 or something, or going to see a rock band was just like, no, it's not. It's not happening, because there's such a, like, stigma almost, like, which is weird because it's such a huge genre of music. But there is, like, within smaller communities, within the larger community, there's this, like, rock band, like, you guys want to sound like the radio, like, you know, which is weird, right? I don't know if you ever encountered that at all, but it's like.
Well, one of our favorite bands, the Glorious Sons, are a huge radio band.
Yeah.
They're perfect for Canada radio, Canada rock.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, if in Winnipeg, if you tried to sound like that, which we kind of have in the past, I don't know if we're changing or whatever, but I don't know if people would go to that show.
Right.
You know, people love Glorious Sons when they come through, but they're already big, right?
So, right, they already have that,
we can't do the same thing that they're doing and expect to have the same success if we sound the same as them. So, where else I was going.
It just seems like an unenviable situation for you guys to be a rock band in a city that has very distinct smaller communities for kind of, again, more niche types of music. So good luck with it.
Thanks. It's all, I mean, networking has been a big thing.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And playing, like, we went through a spurt where we played with, like, the same band for every second show.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, we need to expand. Like, you know, I love these guys. I love their sound. I love playing with them and hanging out with them. But, like, we've got to play with other bands ultimately, because it's not going to help us play with the same band every time.
Yeah.
Because it's hard enough to get people to come and see you every time. Never mind you and the same band every time. You know, it's so.
You're right, because it's just the same show. There's nothing different. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, like, touring's obviously important. Like,
sure. Yeah.
I mean, I heard the Toronto scene, obviously for rock and roll.
Yeah.
100 times better than here. Just the more people, right?
Yeah, you just
it might have the same niche group.
It probably does,
but that group is 10 times the size.
Right. So you're good. Yeah. If you can get in there, you have that access to that whole audience for sure. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I'm sure the scene in Arborg is very different. But like,
I love they call it Arborg.
Is that? That's what it looks like on the sign. I don't know. Arborg. I don't think I'm going to be able to not say it. Arborg. The O is just Yeah.
We get to play there once a year for sure, and every time we play there, the crowd wants country.
Yeah.
Or they're not happy that we're playing rock, and we usually follow like an old time country band that plays like 3 sets, and they're amazing, and they have people from like 25 years old to like 80.
Right, some guys have been doing it every year for his entire life.
Like their grandpas.
And that show we have to pull out a lot of covers, and I always get, it sounded good, but I didn't recognize a damn thing you played. It's like, all right, I kind of figured. And you know what? It's good.
They treat us really well.
They do. They're trying to recognize, Kendra and I are from there. It's local talent. I mean...
that definitely picked that up.
Thanks, Maggie. Yeah. All right. That's Maggie, ladies and gentlemen.
Good job.
But I mean, and of note, like, I mean, I know a lot of guys and people out there who played in bands and are great musicians, but
There's nowhere for them to do it.
Yeah, we're some of the only people from that town that have pursued it.
Well, how big is the town?
1,500.
No, I think it's 2,000 last I have no.
Either way, that's still quite small.
It's pretty small. Yeah, and like I know so many guys that are like, oh man, I just want to play in a band. Like one buddy of mine specifically, he'd always be like, man, I just want to play in a band. I just want to play in a band. And I'm like, you just got to do it. You got to find the guys and you got to do it.
Yeah.
And it's so musicians there's lots out there, but it's also so scarce at the same time, and it just wasn't able to ever pull anything solid together that lasted.
Okay. Know? Well, and like a point is that we had 9 auditions in a city of 1 million people.
Not quite, but getting there. Yeah.
Like in Arborg, obviously, small towns, it's really hard to find people that are in same interest, same genre, right? So it's
the pool to pick from is very
sure.
small.
Yeah,
it's tough. Yeah.
Well, I guess the reason I was I'm going to say Arborg properly here, but the reason I was asking about that Arborg is because how did the two of you get into playing music then? I mean, and wanting to start a band if there wasn't a lot of opportunity out there. And there wasn't a lot of other local bands, I guess, to kind of draw from, right? Like, because most people that I talked to on the show, regardless of what kind of music they played, they were like 15 and they were at some all ages show, and that kind of clicked some spark, and then I'm going to start a band. But if you're coming from somewhere rural and smaller, and there's not that, like, how does that happen?
For me,
you moved to Winnipeg.
That probably helps.
That ultimately, yes.
Well, no, I had a buddy who always grew up playing guitar, and he was really good at guitar, and my cousin was a drummer, and I remember my mom telling me that like you saw his drum set when you were 1 year old and you were obsessed, and ever since then it's just been drums.
Shout out to Keith.
Keith. Uncle Keith. So I think it was my 12th or 13th birthday. I got a set of drums. I had my buddy who had been playing guitar forever, and we started playing stuff together. And I did manage to play in 2 bands in high school, but none of them lasted. I don't know, that's how it really started for me. It wasn't like you hear a lot of musicians say that. Yeah, I went to the show and it just brought in, it opened up my eyes, and it was always something for me that I wanted to do. And I don't know, when I met Evan and we made the connection that we were both musicians, it was like, yeah, let's do this, but let's be serious about it. And 6 years later, here we are. Well, I think we had that conversation pretty shortly afterwards, but because, like I said, I had been in 2 bands in Arborg that had fallen apart,
right?
And like very quickly and very easily, and I just didn't want that. And I don't know again where I'm going with this. I'm getting lost, but
lost in the forest.
Lost in the forest. Can't find my way back. But I don't know. There was, like I say, there was no big huge moment. It was, I got my drums, and it was like, okay, I got drums now. Like, hey, buddy, let's jam. And and it just kept going from there. And
the best thing was we lived together, so it's like, hey, you want to go jam right now?
Right,
and you just walk downstairs.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, if we didn't live together, I don't know if we would have made it this long.
Like Rebecca here's coming all the way from Transcona.
Yeah.
distant Transcona. Yeah. But I mean, I guess are you from Winnipeg as well? Like,
yes.
Okay, so for the two of you, Transcona is still Winnipeg, right? It still counts.
I'm not from Transcona.
That was a deal breaker if she was.
But I mean, did you guys kind of grow up going to shows and things like that, or
all the time? Yeah. My first show was Kiss. I was 5 years old.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I had good parents.
I saw my first show was Pink Floyd when I was 11 at the stadium, when the stadium was still there. It was awesome. Yeah, I was just talking about this actually because my daughter just went to the Flaming Lips with my wife.
I heard that show was crazy from the video.
Yeah, I was home with my other kid, and my 8-year-old went for her first ever show. Nice. And so but it makes a difference though. If you go, I mean, imagine Kiss was pretty heavy on the theatrics and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So like Pink Floyd for me for sure was like, what, there's lasers and pigs flying around and stuff. So I was like, I want to start a band immediately, right?
Yeah.
So that happened. That works for sure. Yeah. Oh. But did you go to a lot of local shows too, like, or was it just mainly touring bands?
Different stuff. Like when I was younger, my parents had friends who played in bands and stuff, so we go to stuff like that.
What's going on here?
Cam's here. Meg's gonna bark.
The 5th member of the band is entering the backyard.
Right on.
Wait for it.
Is his girlfriend with
Our 5th member is here.
Hear the barking here?
Wow.
You made it back.
She's starting to really like
Welcome
him.
to the podcast, Cam.
Are we live?
Oh yeah,
we're live. We're live.
Internet people.
So you might as well introduce yourself right off the bat here because we're already.
Hello to whoever's listening. I'm Cam. I don't know what I should say about myself. I guess I'm the new lead guitarist and
I just flew in from Toronto. That's why I'm late.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what else to say. What, do you have any questions?
Well, no, we were just kind of talking. I do. I've asked a lot of questions. We were just kind of talking about, how everyone here kind of got into playing music, and like whether it was through seeing local bands as a kid, realizing, I could do this kind of thing, or other ways. So, like, how did you, I guess, get involved
with
in
music
in playing bands here?
I came from like a whole different background of what we're doing here. I guess I started playing guitar when I was about 12, 13, and there's a kind of a big metal scene in my high school, kind of, with the older crowd. I was in like grade 9, and these guys were in like 11 and 12, and I found out that they're playing bands, and I kind of just put out a Facebook post looking for a band. At that point, I've been playing for like 4 years at that point, whatever, and this one guy asked if I could join his band. I'm like, yeah, I'll come play. So it just kind of I guess snowballed from that point. Doggy, watch out. There's a dog here.
Yeah, wait, she's been on, yeah.
I don't know where we're at here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So were you in metal bands?
Like, yeah, metal bands. I was in a band called Armored Assault, and like just a bunch of egos clashed, and that kind of just all imploded on itself. And then it was either find new bands or kind of just go to school. So I kind of just went to school and then got an education, and I told myself I'm going to go into bands after I graduate.
Okay, cool.
So now I'm here.
So how does this compare to playing in metal bands then? I mean, obviously, genre-wise, it's pretty different.
Well, yeah, for genre-wise, it's really different. A lot of the times, I come from like my playing. I love like kind of like the pop punk stuff, like My Chemical Romance, Pierce the Veil, whatever. And then
that was actually my first show.
Yeah.
So other question, MCR.
Really?
Black Parade. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're a punk fan. Mine was Distillers.
Oh yeah. Which Distillers show was it?
At the Burt in it would have been 04, 05.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw them in I want to say 99 or something, like when they're touring on the first album.
Yeah.
Good live band though for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Sorry to interrupt, Cam.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting.
So I started liking those bands. Like it was all like the Beatles, classic rock, Led Zeppelin, Animals. Then it got into the heavier stuff like Iron Maiden, kind of Metallica, whatever. Then it got into like the new modern stuff that was happening at the time, like the bands I just said.
Yeah.
So I like that kind of stuff, but these guys like the heavier kind of like subgenres of metal. Like it's not really subgenre, kind of just like thrash metal is what they were really into. So I kind of just like, this is loud, this is fast, I'm young, I love it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So that kind of just went on for a while, and I just kind of like got sucked up into like the metal kind of scene at that point. And I was just a young kid. I was like 16, 17, and the band kind of broke up when I was around 18. So then I tried other projects and stuff, but nothing really stuck. So I just figured, fuck it, I'm just going to go to school. Can I swear?
Yeah, it's fine. The internet has no censorship on it.
So I just said kind of, fuck it. I'm going to just go to school, whatever. I'm just going to kind of record my own music, whatever, on the side. And I have a buddy, his name is Bryce, and we kind of have a little project that we're doing called Disgrace the Race. And that kind of stalled because he moved out west to Saskatchewan. So we kind of just like send each other tracks back and forth.
Okay.
Kind of just record that way, write that way, and whatever. But nothing was happening with it really. So I wanted to get out there and kind of play shows and experience like playing live again. So I kind of just posted an ad on Facebook, and these guys contacted me. And then I showed up for the audition, and here I am.
Cool.
Happy to have you. And while we're talking about how we got into music, shout out to Burnt Sunday, buddies of mine from Arbor who played in a cover band. I guess if anything, those would be one of the big inspirations for me. I remember they had Summerfest out in Arbor every year, and I had to go and watch them.
I remember not being old enough and just like choked outside the snow fence, like 12 years old, like let me in.
That's funny. My very first show was at a bar in Transcona, and I was 16, and nobody ID'd me, so I'm like, this is cool. Like,
Transcona, don't ID.
No, they ID now.
You don't have to defend it.
I won't say what bar.
It was the George. Come on.
It wasn't the George.
Central?
Yeah.
Rookies.
Central.
That was around my 18th birthday.
I used to go to the Albert underage, and they didn't ID there either. So
it's not,
Albert was awesome.
I played that place a couple times with my old band before that place kind of like went into obscurity.
Yeah, hopefully it comes back, but
yeah,
I don't know if it's gonna happen. But so I guess like, what made you think that the guy who plays metal would be a good fit with what you do? Because I mean, it's, like thrash and stuff is very different, like stylistically than what this band is doing. So I mean, what?
Well, I was gonna point out actually his Disgrace the Race.
Yeah.
Band there. It was really cool. It was kind of like a metal techno Well, there's a lot of really cool sounds in it. Like, it definitely wasn't metal.
Mm-hmm. It's, I like to just kind of experiment with sounds, really. It's super cliche, but I I really love, like, the whole, like, electronic thing that's happening these days. EDM, I like Melbourne Bounce, whoever knows what that is.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a subgenre of, like, electronic, and, like, lo-fi, they said you like lo-fi as well. I really like that kind of stuff, so I wanted to kind of strip back my playing, kind of play with, like, kind of like hip-hop beats, but with, like trap beats, and, like, kind of do, like, kind of mellow guitar work over it.
Okay.
With kind of electronic sound, so I was kind of experimenting with that, but...
and that sound, again, sounds completely different from what these guys do. It's like a totally different influence, right?
But I think it was the cool thing was, like, we were talking earlier about how we had a guy who nailed the audition.
Yeah.
And, like, Cam did really well, but, like, the thing that we recently wanted Cam was because his originals were so different and so cool.
Right.
And we're really trying to change our sound and grow and evolve. And we're like, that's a really cool sound. Like when he was just playing chords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
I think it had a lot to do when we were looking for band members about like where they are in life and what they were looking for in a band, or if they're playing in like 6 different bands.
Yeah.
Like just the fact that Cam hasn't played for a long time and wants to just get out there and play, and Rebecca too, and well, just like long-term like
plans.
Yeah, just falling in and like growing together.
Yeah,
so it was a big part of it.
I can't remember who said it to me when we were looking for a band member, but they were like, don't go and get someone from another band. Find someone who's either, you know, like Cam was in the music scene and stepped away and wants to come back, or someone who's been sitting in their basement for the last 10 years just learning guitar.
Yeah, sure. Right,
they got both.
Playing,
and that's what we did.
Yeah.
Like, I think we had only one other guy who was in an active band come and audition, but yeah, I mean, that was the big thing. It was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
I think that's especially what I try to do with my playing, too. A lot of certain guitar hero of mine, Randy Rhoads, shout out to anyone who knows him, but he always mentioned that try not to learn covers and stuff because you tend to pick up their tendencies.
Yeah.
And you tend to start writing like them, so I always try to stay away from covers in my own time. But for the longest time, for like the past, I guess, 2010 to now, 2018, for the past 8 years, I've just been writing for myself, and the biggest thing that developed my playing was trying to write like rhythm and melody and the same kind of things. I showed these guys a riff and they really liked with that big stretch chord.
Yeah. Like 1 and 7.
You can only play it for so long.
Was it like a Police song or something?
It's just like I'm holding my hand like you guys trying to play it, but it's just trying to infuse like different kind of stuff and just trying to be creative and like kind of develop my own kind of style is kind of my biggest goal.
I just want to point out, we had like a lot of metal players audition.
Yeah.
And they definitely were metal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Nothing wrong with it, but like it's like that's not what we want.
Right. You don't have a bunch of like tapping solos and palm muting and shit.
Yeah. That's metal. That's metal, right? Like that's how you describe metal.
China symbol.
All the metal players like fuck this.
Yeah, no kidding.
But my point is like Cam came in and he did original stuff that sounded totally different, but also like a sound we could go with.
Right.
And Rebecca was kind of different, came from an acoustic band.
Yeah, I'm like the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah. And so rhythm lead, right?
Yeah, that's
we
cool.
thought meeting in the middle would be a really cool sound.
We kind of knew ahead of time that Rebecca wasn't so much of a lead guitarist. I think you and Evan kind of talked about it.
I said that I kind of struggle with the solos still, but yeah, I like rhythm.
And so it was kind of like, well, hey, we've always talked about adding a rhythm guitarist, or multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah.
And it worked out. Like,
cool.
She nailed it.
We're pretty
nailed the
excited
stuff.
about
Yeah.
it.
You'll see this July 14th at the West End Cultural
By the time this comes out, that might have already happened, but if it did...
Damn it!
And it went great.
Yeah, I'm sure it went fantastically well. I'm sure it was sold out.
With the Boy in the Sea
check
and
YouTube
the Brotherhood
for
Co.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Look it up if you're hearing this like a month later or whatever. Look it up and maybe you'll
July 26th at the Cavern.
Right, and there might be some more other ones after, depending when this comes out.
Every weekend in August, you can catch it somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, look us up.
Facebook page.
Yes.
Ridiculous schedule.
Yeah, well, you guys can plug all your social media in a minute.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Plug.
never soar. It's being normal, holding into the floor. And I can feel the pain, I can feel the doubt. I can hear the voices are crying out. They're telling you to change, they're telling you to die, telling you to break away from the lies. Way that you live, always number one, never backing down. You can rise to the top, causing all this pain, you'll never stop. And turn around, just see it now. Everyone is hoping that you walk away. You'll never fly, you'll never soar. It's being normal, holding you to the floor. And I can feel the pain, I can feel the doubt. I can hear the voices are crying out. They're telling you to change, they're telling you to die, telling you to break away from the lies. Is it in from the inside? Did you wanna be something more? Hesitated, separated from the people that've been holding you down. From the people that've been holding you down. Yeah, they're holding you to the ground. No one is watching, no one at all. No one is stalking your eyes when you fall. No one is watching, no one at all. No one is stalking your eyes when you fall. Your eyes when you fall.
Now that you have the five-person lineup figured out, and you have kind of, these new influences coming from the two new members, what is the plan going forward? I know you mentioned earlier the CD with the old name that's kind of still floating around, but are you guys going to be recording anything with this new lineup soon, or what's happening with that?
I think the plan is studio in November. Right now, it's basically we've been pushing these guys to learn our old sets so we can get through the summer.
Sure. Okay.
Like we're booked pretty much like August every weekend, 2 shows in July, then a little bit of a break in September. And it's kind of been, let's learn the set, get it down so we can play these shows, and
cool.
Then we'll write afterwards. So we're definitely very much looking forward to writing, getting very anxious to start writing. It's been a long time.
I'm excited to sprinkle a bit of my flavor.
Yes, definitely. I can't wait. It
sounds inappropriate somehow.
Sprinkling your sound on us.
But yeah, I guess that's the tough part right now is like learn our old stuff we've already been playing.
Yeah.
And
also get new stuff on the go too, right?
Yeah. So we're just dying to get to the writing stage where we can incorporate 5 members because now we're converting 4 to 5.
Yeah. So you're gonna change the sound in general. Yeah.
Yeah. Figure out where everyone fits in.
But you're looking at like early winter kind of to start working on a new record.
November, at least a new single or 2.
Cool.
Yeah, we have 3 singles out right now.
No,
so,
2. Well, Falling. Sorry, Falling's really old already.
3 singles out right now, and then early next year, plan to release the EP.
Okay.
With those songs on it and new songs.
Okay. With the current lineup, like it's all gonna be stuff that's recorded. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's the plan.
Right. Well, by the time people hear this, maybe
you didn't know.
Surprise!
The good thing about this being a podcast and being kind of available on the internet indefinitely, like someone could get this a year from now and then it's already out, and they can just go immediately and go buy it or whatever. Hopefully, yeah, exactly. Like, future people go buy the EP.
Pre-order.
I started listening to your podcast, and I just went back to like whatever episodes. I'd pick a band that I recognize, and then after I got through those ones, then I'd listen to the other ones.
Yeah. No, I think that's what most people do. That's what I do with podcasts too. Yeah,
exactly.
You have so much content.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome though.
Well, by the time this comes out, it'll be already in the 300s as far as episodes go. Like it's getting ridiculous.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, congratulations. That is awesome.
Yeah, I can't stop, won't stop.
Oh, good.
The one last thing I wanted to ask you guys about is I noticed that you have a pretty good. Your marketing is pretty good. You got the logo, and you seem to have a lot of merch and stuff. And I think a lot of bands struggle with that side of things because a lot of people they can handle the creative part, but then when it comes to the business side of things or marketing or just promoting yourself, they don't know what to do, right? So you guys at least seem to have a very strong image as far as the logo, the merch, things like that. I mean, your website, all the stuff looks good. So where does that come from? Like, I mean, is that just kind of a factor of having been a band so long and sort of knowing how to push yourselves out there, or what?
I think it started with the autopilots.
Okay.
We're just getting into
right before the name change, we designed a new logo. I got a kick drum skin made. We wanted to get merch, and then
it sucks that the kick drums. Yeah.
It's hanging in the.
Oh, that's cool. At least you still have it. Yeah.
But it was the best thing, honestly.
Yeah, it was a good thing. Definitely.
Because with the new name, it was like a new brand, and like let's start over. Let's blow up with it.
Yeah.
And like you said, you didn't really hear about us.
No, until I started seeing.
And that's kind of when Northern Royals came out. Like, that was the big deal. But
so I guess it was, we always wanted to do it, and knowing that all of this with the other band was going on maybe was what held us back from doing it with autopilots.
Right.
And then as soon as we changed our name, it was like, okay, merch. Let's get merch now. And then, like I say,
merch is huge. We didn't realize that people bought merch.
Yeah.
And we went to Kenora, and it was the weirdest thing. Like, we had these two kids buy $200 worth of merch between the two of them. Yeah. And, like, I was unsure they were 18. And they were like...
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it sounds like it.
They went at the ATM and got more cash out. Wow. We started feeling bad.
They took a photo on stage with us holding Evan's guitar.
Yeah, and Evan let him hold his guitar. He's like, "You're going to let me touch it? It's a real Gibson."
And like, what's happening? Like, in Winnipeg, it's like, hey, great show, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and they felt the need to tell us... I lost my train of thought. Forget it. Edit that out.
But
I'm not editing anything.
Okay.
Yeah. By the time I get to this, I'm gonna forget that you said that.
Fair enough.
But no, I know what you mean. In Winnipeg, like you go to a show, and after the show, people are asking you for smokes, and merch off you, right? Yeah.
Oh, you played in the band?
Yeah. Oh, really? I was outside.
Yeah.
Was it good? Did it go well?
Yeah.
But I think we use a lot, or term, is oversaturated.
Yeah.
Like, Winnipeg has so many good bands.
Well, that's why I've been doing this for 6 years, because it's non-stop. Like, you don't run out, right? Just
every night there's like 6 good shows going on.
Yeah.
And then you go to Kenora and they have like a few cover bands, and that's it.
Right, so you guys are rock stars just based on being an original band from out of town.
Like, oh, this out of town band, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're famous. And we're like, yeah, we are.
Buy our merch.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is a one-time opportunity.
Yeah.
We'll be here next weekend.
Okay, so if people are hearing about you for the first time on this show, and maybe they do want to buy some merch, maybe they've heard some songs and they dig it, what's the best thing for someone to find out more information about upcoming shows, about buying merch, listening to audio?
Merch, you can find that all on our website,
which is
northernroyals.com.
Okay, thank you.
We do try to keep it up to date as best we can with shows and things like that.
Wait, I see some head shaking over here.
It's not up to date.
All of our shows are on Facebook.
Right. Facebook's the best place to find out shows.
Okay. And our merch is on northernroyals.com.
Yes.
Okay, and obviously it shows.
Yeah.
This is the main place to,
And you can buy merch online via credit card, e-transfer, whatever.
Cool.
We'll deliver it right to your house.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming you're in Winnipeg or Arborg, right? Is that...
We'll mail it.
Yeah.
We'll deliver it ourselves. We'll come to it.
Yeah.
That's Rebecca and Cam's new job.
It's just to fly around wherever they are.
Surprise.
Cool. And is there a Bandcamp or anything where people want to hear songs or anything, SoundCloud or whatever?
As far as that, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Music, everywhere you find music. We have a few 2 lyric videos on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, Facebook or Instagram are probably the 2 best places to keep up with us.
Cool.
Like I say, we try to pay as much attention to the website as we can, but usually I don't think that's...
it sounds like there's a discrepancy here among the band members.
It's been noted that it needs to be updated.
Okay.
The Bandcamp?
The website.
The website.
Yeah. It's,
okay, well, regardless, it sounds like there's enough places people can go to find you, and it sounds like you got the name thing locked down with this name. So, if someone Googles you,
I don't know. Now it's just like you can just when I hear about a new band, I just Google it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
you know what I mean? Or I go on Facebook and I search it.
I do that too.
And it's so funny. Like I listen to bands constantly. It's like, oh, where can you find music? It's like Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Bandcamp, MySpace.
Yeah.
People still use MySpace.
Apparently. Yeah.
And I mean, we don't tweet as much as you do, Sam. But
MySpace great again.
Yeah. But you know, it is. I think it is a worthwhile question about where to find stuff because, like you said, there's so many different platforms, right? And I mean, some people like I'm such a Luddite. I don't use Spotify or any Google Play. I listen to CDs and tapes and records and stuff. And so for me, it's like YouTube, I guess, Bandcamp, right? Like, but some people they don't even have any of that stuff, and it's like, Spotify is obviously the place, and someone else maybe Facebook is the place where they go to find bands or whatever. So you gotta kind of
SoundCloud too. I believe most of our stuff is on there.
I mean, if you want a physical copy, you just go to our website.
Right.
There's tons of merch there. We have like 6 different versions of hats, T-shirts, baby onesies.
I saw that on there. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah. Are those popular? Baby onesies?
With family.
Yeah,
of course.
Family and close friends.
Yeah. Some of them have been recycled already because the kids grow so fast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
If you want to buy a used one,
we should resell the used one.
My kids are way too big for that.
Great deal.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, people should check out the Facebook and the website. Maybe by the time you hear this, it'll be updated.
And, it is updated, I think.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No, it's not.
But it is now.
Sorry.
There's a lot of places to go to find information.
Professional.
Yeah. I will put in the show notes a link to at least the website and the Facebook, and then people can figure it out.
Facebook's the best place, honestly.
Okay, awesome. And if people want to hear more episodes of this show, you can go to witchpolice.com. You can subscribe on whatever podcast player you use, iTunes, Stitcher, all those things. There's a big archive of, at this point, there'll be over 300 episodes there for free download and streaming. You can go dig back as far as you want. If you are brave enough to listen to the early ones, because they're pretty bad. But there's a lot there. If you're into Winnipeg music, I'm sure you know like a pretty significant percentage of the bands that have been on the show. You can also tune in on Sunday nights at midnight on UMFM 101.5, and those are older episodes that kind of get a second wind. So it's end of June now. This might not air till October or something. But the cool thing about that is if someone happens to be listening at midnight, it's the best time to listen to the radio, and you're tuning in and you hear this band you've never heard before, and they're talking about an album they're working on. Maybe by then it's out already, right? Or maybe by then there's a bunch of shows happening, or there's more things they can find out. So it's cool that it just kind of gets an extra boost. But it's always online, available whenever you want to get it. So and social media, Witchpolice, we're all over the place. Yeah, awesome. That's all I got. Thanks for having me over here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Yeah,
do we clap?
If you want to, sure. Yay!
I actually never heard someone clap like that.
I haven't either, but now maybe I'll make it a thing now. Yeah.
I think I saw you hold out your hands. You pulled me out of the water, and I can't stand. Made me battle to shore to build my strength. Her heart was alive, they guided me in. It guided me in. I can't express these emotions so bottled inside, building in my heart, my body and mind. Ocean is overwhelming, and I cannot swim. I'll conquer the tide, the battle within. It's the battle within. I know you had someone looking out for you, trying myself.